All right, hey everybody, it's Dr. Hyman. How you doing this morning? It's Friday morning. I'm so excited to see you all again. And today we have a very special guest on our Instagram Live, Vani Hari, the food babe, who is one of my close friends, who is a single woman powerhouse that's disrupted the food industry by calling them out on all their bad behavior and getting all the junk out of our food. And you never doubt, what a single person can do. Let me see if I can get her on, and hopefully soon she'll come on. Hold on, let me invite her. So you don't have to spend one more minute without this incredible person. Active now, send request, and let's see what we got. There we go. Add Vani Hari. So this woman has really disrupted the food industry by calling them out on all the ingredients they put in their food that they don't have to. And that really, hey, there she is. All right, the food babe, she made it. We overcame, I think it was, the deep state that was actually blocking you.
Oh, definitely. And I've been having this happen all week. So
people don't want to hear what you have to say, Bonnie.
No, they don't.
No,
These
they
chemical
don't.
corporations have deep pockets. They can do some crazy stuff.
But I do. I want to hear it. And I think so does my audience, because as I was saying before you jumped on, that you've been a single woman powerhouse disrupting the food industry, calling out the ingredients in our food that don't need to be there, that are harmful, proven by science, but are still in our food. And often in other countries, like in Europe, they just basically have outlawed these chemicals, and you basically embarrass these big companies like Kraft and Subway and Chipotle and others to come to their knees, come to the table, and fess up to what they've done and actually reform their products. And so I was quoting Margaret Mead before you got on, who said, never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. Except I would change that. Never doubt that a very strong, powerful woman can change the world, because it's often the only thing that does.
Oh, that's awesome,
So
Dr. Mark.
thank you for joining us, Bonnie. So we're going to get right into it. You all probably know what we think you should eat, which is whole, real food. That's not what we're going to get into today. We're going to get into the practical aspects of what to do, because, as you say, and I think Michael Pollan first said it, we've outsourced our cooking to corporations. And with COVID-19, it's been an interesting moment, because, restaurants were closed for a while. You couldn't even get takeout. People had to figure out how to cook. And, I just saw this beautiful New York Times article the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but it was really sort of vignettes of people who, how did they adapt to the new food reality in New York City? People who never cooked in their lives, people from all kinds of disadvantaged backgrounds, and they were able to actually reclaim their kitchens. And that's really what you're talking about in your brand new book, Food Babe Kitchen, which everybody should go get a copy of. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful book. Lots of great pictures of her and her daughter drinking green smoothies, and it's pretty awesome. So, Bonnie, tell us, for you, why is cooking such an important thing, and why should we care, and why don't we just, get stuff that's already made for us?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I didn't learn how to cook until I was almost 25. I really did not have the background and knowledge on how to cook anything. My parents wanted to keep me out of the kitchen because I have two immigrant Indian parents, and all they did was care about me either becoming an engineer or a doctor. And so they wanted me to learn math or science. So they did not want me to learn how to cook, but I tell you, learning how to cook saved my life, and is one of the most crucial skills that anybody needs to have in order to survive the world that we live in today. Because over the last 50 or so years, 10,000 food chemicals have been invented and put into our food supply. And when we outsource our meals to restaurants, to the processed food industry, to the packaged good industry, all the things you see in the freezer section at the grocery store, you're outsourcing your health. And you're putting your health in someone else's shoes. And when these corporations' goal, their number one goal is to make money, they're not really looking out for your nutritional benefit in your bodies. And so when I think about what to eat, knowing the ingredients is like the number one thing. And when you cook at home, you see everything. It's right there on the counter when you're preparing everything and putting it together, including the things that are already pre-made that you may buy. I mean, the ingredients list is right there on the other side. And so you can read it and see, are these chemicals that are created in a factory, or are they real food? And Food Babe Kitchen, my new book, takes a reader.
It's right behind you. You can see it right behind your head.
Yeah, it's right here. It's right here.
Show everybody.
Yeah, of course. So it's right here. has the first 55 pages of this book is guidebook on how to create a food babe kitchen, how to remove all the chemicals from your kitchen, how to stock your pantry with good stuff. I take you through every single aisle of the grocery store and show you what's a poor choice, what's a good choice. Now you can see all my junk back here. I need to put this I need to go hide. Oh goodness, there we go. And I take you through, you know, how to shop for things so that you're picking the best ingredients to stock your pantry with. And then I take it even a step further, what you should be cooking with, right? Like what kind of pots and pans least amount of chemicals into your food so that you can have the most nutritional food at the time when you're finished cooking. You know, you're spending time making this food. You might as well make it as healthy as possible. And then what do you do when you have to reheat it, or how to make in bulk so that you can save time and energy, and what you can do with your kids so that they're eating really healthy. And I included over 100 recipes in this book that I make for my own family that I've made throughout the years, and even included my mother's awesome meal that she makes for us almost every single week. She lives right down the road.
What is it? What is it? What is it?
So she's Indian, so she makes these amazing kale flatbreads called kale pranthes. And she takes kale from her garden. You don't have to grow kale to make this. You can get it at the grocery store. Even you can use spinach or collards, any type of leafy green. And she puts it in a blender, mixes it with a little water, and then mixes that inside the dough, the organic whole wheat dough. And then she makes a flatbread on the stove. And my daughter eats it with grass-fed butter. And it's like a full meal. It's so delicious. And then she makes this amazing curried lentils and curried cauliflower called gobi. And
I love gobi. I love that. I love making that. That's so easy. You know, you think it's hard to make these dishes, but you know, if you buy spices, and I have like a giant spice drawer in my house. I think I've shown people, and you can make, you know, fresh Indian food with just a few little spices, little curry, onions, little mustard seeds, ginger, garlic. You put it on with the cauliflower, turmeric turns it yellow. It's like so good.
It's so good. It's one of my favorite dishes. And you know, it's so awesome to be able to have that in my cookbook, because now for generations and generations and generations, you know, my daughter's daughter and daughter can make this, or son, or whoever, you know. And so it's so cool to have it in there. And then she even included one of her amazing Indian desserts that's made actually out of carrots called carrot halwa. And it's so healthy and so good. And of course, all of that Indian food has all those medicinal spices. And just
so for those who's just joining us, everyone, who you are, you're Vani Hari, you're the Food Babe, and we're talking about Food Babe Kitchen, which is your new way to take back your kitchens from the corporations, right? We've outsourced our cooking to corporations, but you also said something really important. You said we outsource our health to corporations, and I think people don't realize that. And so I have a friend, Chris Carr, you might know her, and she had cancer, and she realized she needed to be the CEO of Save My Ass Technologies, Inc. And I think we all need to be the CEO of our own health, and that's what you're talking about in your book, Food Babe Kitchen. It's such a practical guide, and everybody should definitely pick up a copy and have it in their kitchen, because it's definitely a centerpiece of my kitchen now. I mean, I have 5 cookbooks, but yours is pretty awesome. It's much prettier than mine.
Well, thank you so much. You know, it's been a labor of love. You know, my first book deal, they gave me a 2-book deal, and they wanted to do my cookbook in black and white. And I just fought back, and I was like, no, we can't do that. And I worked with my agents to get out of the contract, and found a publisher that wanted to see my vision and had the budget to do it. And I'm just so thankful of the way it came out. I mean, every single recipe has a photograph, so you know what the food looks like, so you have an idea of what you're making. And I think that's so important for people getting back in the kitchen and learning how to cook real food, and like without all the additives and shortcuts that the food industry has created to, yes, make our lives easier, but unfortunately make us very unhealthy. You know, you mentioned Chris. I love Chris Carr, and I love that she became the CEO of her own Save Her Ass. And I love that, because that's exactly what I had to do in order to break free of all of the ailments that I had as a child. I mean, I had eczema, asthma, allergies. I was overweight. I felt awful. And anytime that I would look for answers, or I would go to the doctors, we didn't have, you know, access to functional medicine doctors like you, Mark, that, you know, got to the root cause of issues in bodies. And a lot of times food can just fix everything.
It's
And
true.
that's why you also have a book called Food Fix. But, it's just like, food can fix the world, and food definitely did fix me. And it wasn't the 9 prescription drugs that I was on at one point in my life. It was food that
Wow.
eventually healed me and made me who I am today. And it's so phenomenal to see what happens when you do pay attention to your ingredients. And I just don't want anyone, the reason I do this work, and the reason I guess I have a no fear policy when it comes to taking on these corporations, is I don't want anyone to feel like I used to feel. And I also don't want people to feel duped like I used to feel duped. I mean, I thought when I was eating Subway sandwiches, I was eating fresh, just like the tagline, right? You saw Jared, this guy, losing all this weight, all of the things that were under 400 calories, at this fast food. I mean, it was at that point, before we took them on, it was the largest fast food company in the world. Now it's not, largely because of the awareness that has happened with processed meats and processed food and the bread and all of the stuff.
It's the lowest quality of all the ingredients. If it's this turkey, it's not really turkey. It's a turkey-like substance. It's got all kinds of fillers and additives and various preservatives and sugar and MSG and all kinds of crap that you don't even know is in there.
Yeah, and when you make a sandwich out of Food Babe Kitchen, I will never tell you to go buy deli meat, even organic deli meat. I just don't believe in it. What you need to do is take a piece of pasture-raised chicken or organic turkey breast and roast it yourself, slice it yourself, and you can have meat for the rest of the week, to make a sandwich or to make whatever meals you want with it. But you got to stay out of the deli aisle.
Yeah, it's so true. And you said something that's so important, which is we really haven't understood the link between our health and our food in the way that you described. And I think many people out there are listening are suffering from all sorts of ailments, whether it's things like just skin problems. Like, I mean, I had breakfast with a woman the other day who said, I listened to your podcast and, I had eczema all over my face, all over my body, and it was just terrible. I would see doctors, all these creams and medicines, and I changed my diet and it completely went away. And I think like your experience, you got rid of asthma, eczema, bad skin, weight gain, fatigue, depression. I mean, you name it. And people walk around suffering from this and they don't realize that it's really easy to fix. It is as easy as you're going into your kitchen and getting rid of all the crap, replacing it with the Food Babe Kitchen ingredients and cooking from scratch, which may seem onerous, difficult, time consuming, but none of that is, and expensive, but none of that is actually true. All those ideas that we've believed about cooking are fed to us by the food industry that has an interest in outsourcing our meals to them. And they have literally hijacked our kitchens. They've usurped our health. And you show in your book, Food Babe Kitchen, exactly how to reclaim your kitchen with all kinds of great things. I just want to talk about one of the tips you give in there about oils. When you go out to a health food restaurant, they might be using all these crappy oils that you actually don't even know are there. And it may seem like a health food, but it may not be. So you don't know what's going on behind the scenes and the quality of the ingredients and what's happening. And cooking oils are so important. So what should we be paying attention to when it comes to cooking oils?
Yeah, I think you mentioned cooking oil because I know you know this. This is probably the worst ingredient in the American diet and the one that causes the most inflammation and
I
heart
might fight with you on
disease.
that. I think it's sugar.
Oh, you think it's sugar? Okay, well, it's one of the worst, right? Like in terms of,
It's right up there. There's a two.
right? I think those are the two. Yeah, I agree with that. So, with cooking oil, like if there's one thing people can change, obviously eat less sugar, right? But if there's one thing they can change about their kitchens is like remove the corn oil, remove the soy oil from your kitchen, remove the canola oil. All three of those are largely genetically modified, have been doused with doses of Roundup to grow those crops. It ends up in your food. This, Roundup is linked to cancer and has been implicated in tons of jury trials. Now, well, not tons, but it will be tons soon.
I think what there's 14,000
hundreds of lawsuits taking place. I'm sorry?
Yeah. There's like 14,000 cases in court right now.
Oh, 14. So it is thousands. Sorry. I thought I was exaggerating, but I'm not.
They're in the process.
Billions of dollars are being awarded to these plaintiffs and in showing that Roundup causes cancer. And so this is stuff we don't want in our diet. And not to mention that it's also extracted with hexane, which is a carcinogenic substance that the FDA doesn't even regulate the amount of residue that remains in oils. So you want to choose an oil that is as least processed as possible. And those oils are organic coconut oil, which I know you love, organic avocado oil, organic olive oil. You know, those are the things. And, you know, even extra virgin olive oil, I love putting it in dressings and cold things, but I also, if it's a really low heat, I don't mind cooking with it as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's just an amazing, I mean, those three, and you've got it going, and you can do ghee and grass-fed butter, and that's all you need in your kitchen. But you need to know, and you made such a good point of like, when you go to a restaurant, you don't know what oils you're using. I'd say I could probably bet my life on this, that 90% of restaurants use a corn or soy or canola oil
Yeah.
that is not organic, that has the GMOs, that is rancid with, you know, or laced with hexane. So this is something that you really want to pay attention to. When you order a salad at a restaurant, it's likely made with soy oil and not olive oil. And so you can ask for these things and order off, not on the menu, but off the menu, and say, hey, could I have a little lemon juice and olive oil on the side,
Yeah.
or balsamic vinegar or something like that.
Yeah.
And you can get away with navigating these different things.
Yeah, it's great. You also talk about how to plan your meals, because a lot of us are like, what am I making for dinner? You know, what's for dinner? That's why I wrote food, what the heck should I eat? Because people don't know, like, food, what the heck should I cook? Like, what do we eat? What do we cook? And how do we make
Well,
dinner? And how do we plan? Because a lot of people aren't trained in how to organize and plan their meals.
No, and I think meal planning is what has set me up for success, because there's no way that I can finish everything that I'm doing and be done at 5 o'clock, and my daughter's starving, and I haven't planned or figured out what's for dinner ahead of time. I mean, you know, what she does is go straight into the pantry and eats a bunch of junk, right? So it's like, and I don't
No,
even
there's
have
no
really
junk
junk
in
in my,
your
there's
pantry,
no,
Bonnie.
I
You're
don't really
such
have
a
junk, I
liar.
have
There's
like organic junk food, right? Like, you know, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
know, I know,
Anyways.
I know. I'm teasing you.
So, but yeah, I want her to eat real home cooked food every night. So I have to prepare. And even when I'm busy or whatever, you know, I like just tend to do like the same breakfast and same lunch, so that there's no thought process, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the weeks that I'm busy, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just doing the same thing. And that way I know I'm eating good, it's available, it's ready. And right now, if you get Food Babe Kitchen by tomorrow, because it's launch week, I'm giving away 12 meal plans, a whole year's worth of meal plans
Wow.
and meal planning service with grocery lists and shopping lists and everything to anyone who buys Food Babe Kitchen, the cookbook, because I believe in meal planning so important. You know, I don't want people to just buy this cookbook and make a couple recipes. I want it to transform their lives. And so we're
No
giving this
excuse now. There's
away
no excuse now. You have no excuse to cook and eat
every
well
single
because
month. I got you covered. So foodbabekitchen.com, you can find all the details there. But I want to, I want to change people's lives. This is the best time to do it because we're stuck at home, and you know, there's so many restaurants that are still operating at limited capacity. So you really can start to learn to remake some of your favorite foods, and that's what I do in this book. I mean, I've got chicken wings and homemade Doritos and homemade Chick-fil-A sandwiches and an 8-minute candy bar. I made it actually live this morning on Fox TV, and you can make all these things with like really good ingredients. You would love the chocolate that I used, Mark. I know you
oh
love Hugh Kitchen, and
yes,
Hugh Kitchen chocolate's made with organic coconut sugar, which I think is the best form of, quote
yeah, for
unquote
sure,
processed
for sure,
sugar
yeah,
or added sugar to your diet, because
yep,
it's just the sap off of the coconut tree. It's completely, it has minerals, it has vitamins. There's not, it's not bleached. It's not coming from GMO sugar beets. There's a lot of good reasons to use that type of
yeah.
sugar.
Yeah, it's so important to really get back in your kitchen, and it's not that hard because it's a skill like any other skill. You have to learn how to use a knife. You have to know which ingredients to put in first, second, and third. You need to know the timing of food. It's a skill, but it's not rocket science. It doesn't take that long. And my mother always used to say, if you could read, you could cook. And it's true. If you just follow recipes for a while, and that's why these cookbooks are so great, they literally teach you what to do in what order. And then you can be creative and you can make up your own stuff. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
perfect. And I almost never use cookbooks now. I do sometimes especially during COVID when I wanted to try new stuff and make yummy meals. But for basic everyday meals, it's just, you have 4, 5, 6 meals you make them well. It's easy. Like you said, you don't have to think about it. It's like Steve Jobs. All he did was wear a black t-shirt and jeans, right? and a black turtleneck or whatever. And he didn't have to think about what he was wearing because it was one less decision he had to make in order to achieve what he
Absolutely.
wanted in life. And when you're doing that, it really can empower your life. So you got to reclaim your kitchen. Now, one last thing I want to talk about is this whole thing about eating with your family, because most Americans don't have family dinners anymore. They might eat together. It takes 20 minutes, each eating out of a different box or package or frozen food that's made in a different factory, all while watching TV or on their phones. And that is not a family dinner. And the science is really clear about this. And I would like you to talk about why family dinners are so important, how you prioritize them, and what they mean to you.
Well, I'm really in a unique position that I've been able to work from home while having my daughter. She's 3 years old now, but from the very start, when she started eating real food, right around 6 or 7 months, we sat down with her at every meal and we made it a point to sit down as a family. There's no TV on, there's no phones allowed at the table. We're eating together, and she's eating what I'm eating and what my husband's eating. And we're having lunch every single day together. She's already in school, and we get up in the morning, we have breakfast together as a family. Sometimes I'm not even hungry at 7 a.m., but I eat with her and we eat together. And then she goes to school. She comes back by noon. We sit down at noon and we eat lunch together. We all stop working around the house and we all sit down together. And then we do it again at around 5 or 5:30. And we sit down again as a family, no phones, no television. And I tell you, it has been so amazing to watch her ability to try different foods, because it's fun to experiment and look at different foods and see what we're eating. And, one of the things that I did with my daughter is actually introduce every single vegetable first into her diet before I even introduced fruit. So she didn't have a banana until like 8 or 9 months. But she had tried every single vegetable, and her favorite dish right now is bok choy. It's actually a recipe in Food Babe Kitchen. We've been growing it on our front porch since she was born, and so she's just been around it, and she loves it with garlic and a little lemon and olive oil. It's just delicious. And we just saute it really lightly, and she'll eat the whole plate. She will not share with us either. She'll say, "Daddy, get away." She's really protective over her good food. And what's so amazing about instilling this into her is I notice, and no judgment, y'all, if your kids run around and try to eat and put their hands over everything. My white couch is still white. It's not full of food. And also when we go to, and she's been to 9 countries. So when we go and travel, when we go back and travel again one day after all of this, she can sit down at a French, when you go to France or you go to a French island or somewhere, they sit down for a long time, like 2 to 3 hours. You're having a meal. She can hold her own and sit there for that long, which is just mind blowing to the people around me and my friends who end up joining us on these trips.
Yeah.
They just can't believe that she has such good table manners. And it's such a beautiful thing to watch. And it's actually the next book I want to write, which is How to Raise Your Kids on Real Food and good manners.
You're right. The people are pushing back a little bit and saying, family dinners are stressful. And I think it, if your family is very dysfunctional, it can be a very stressful event. I get it. And it's a whole nother story about how to manage the dysfunction in your family. And people are saying it's okay to watch TV while you're eating. Well, I just like to make 2 comments. One is that the science is very clear on this. If you eat with your family, your kids are less likely to have eating disorders, to be obese, to have better academic performance, less likely to be addicted to drugs, and more likely to be happy and less likely to kill themselves. This is the power of family dinner. Okay. And second, it's okay to watch TV while you're eating. Depends what you're watching. If you're watching Disney, maybe it's okay. If you're watching the news, definitely not, because your brain is connected to your gut, and your gut is your second brain. And when you are constantly eating in a state of stress, your digestion shuts down. Think about it. You don't want to be running from a saber-toothed tiger and digesting your meal. You want all the blood to go to your heart and lungs and your muscles, not to your stomach. And so you literally shut down digestion, and literally, biochemically, metabolically, stress makes you gain weight. I want you to get this. If you eat under stress, you will gain weight. So that is an important take home for y'all. Now, I'm just so excited, Monty, that you are doing this work, that you provided a roadmap for all of us, that you've really supported the transformation of our food system in the way you've done, and been such a leader. And I'm just so honored to know you. I think everybody needs to get Food Babe Kitchen. It's the latest book by Vani Hari. The other ones are great, Feeding You Lies, Food Babe Way, and lots of other great books. I really, I just blown away by your passion and your commitment to bringing health and resilience to people when they're in a very toxic food environment. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mark. It's great to talk to you like twice in 2 weeks. It's incredible to sit down and talk with you. I wish we lived closer together so we could enjoy more meals together, because it would be so much fun. But I just did a podcast on Doctor's Pharmacy on Mark's podcast.
That's
so
right.
If you guys want to listen to a longer conversation after this, go check that out, because I just so enjoyed sitting down with you there too. And thank you so much for your support over the years. I have been so lucky to have you as a mentor and friend. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Good luck,
Bye.
Bonnie. Everybody go get Food Babe Kitchen. Bye.